It is 6:09. This is the Township of Springfield's Board of Adjustment meeting for December 17th, 2024. Adequate notice has been given in accordance with the Sunshine Law. Notice was published on October 17th, 2024 in the local source, one of the official newspapers for the Township of Springfield for the year 2024, and posted in the Annex Building on October 18th, 2024. Can we stand to salute the flag, please? Thank you. May we please have a roll call?
Yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Stephen Hochstein? Here. Mr. Michael Weckstein?
Here.
Mr. Stephen Furstenbaum? Ms. Marla Naparano? Mr. Peter Shewitz? Ms. Anika Dotson? Vice Chair Mark Cunningham?
Here.
And Chairwoman Jody Cohen.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Okay, the first order of business this evening is resolution for memorialization, which is resolution for application 2024-20, 6 Oak Ridge, Block 3304, Lot 21. Has every member had an opportunity to review the resolution? Are there any questions or comments? If there are none, is there a motion to approve?
I'll move it. Second.
I'll pick somebody. Vice Chair Cunningham?
Yes.
Mr. Weckstein?
Yes.
Mr. Hochstein?
Was I here? I don't think.
Oh, okay, abstain. Mr. Stephen Furstenbaum?
Yes.
Ms. Marla Naparano? Yes. And Chair Cohen?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to our applications this evening. 2 applications up. The first one is application 2024-23. This is for 16 Q Drive, Block 1707, Lot 14. This is a request for lot and building coverage variances. Do we have the applicant here? Hi, come on up.
Hi.
Hi.
Good evening. Is that okay?
We're just gonna swear you in.
Okay. Oh, okay, sorry.
Are you both gonna speak?
No, I'm just,
Okay. You swear or affirm to tell the truth?
I do.
Please state your full name, spell your last name, give us your home address.
Okay. Karen Dietzel, D-I-E-T-Z-O-L-D, 16 Q Drive, Springfield, New Jersey.
Thank you. Can you maybe move the microphone a little closer? Loud.
Sorry, can you hear me? Oh, that's better.
That's
Thank you.
perfect.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, good evening, everyone. We would like to apply for a variance to add an addition to our first floor of our home. Since 2022, my husband has been in a wheelchair and has been using our living room as a bedroom and bathroom, sleeping in a hospital bed and using a commode. We have a colonial house that has narrow doorways that prevents him from getting into some of the rooms. My husband will never be able to climb our flight of stairs to get to the second floor. We presently have a ramp in the front of our home, which is an eyesore, and we would like to put a temporary ramp on the side of our house. We have thought about moving to a ranch somewhere in Springfield, but we cannot find anywhere we can afford, and we would still have to make adjustment to the house. In addition, it would make a world of difference to us. It means to me and my husband, let me start again. An addition would make a world of a difference to me and my husband. My husband would be more independent with his needs, and we would be able to sleep in the same bed, because right now I sleep upstairs and he sleeps downstairs. I know some of you may think this is an ideal situation, but we don't. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. And your lot is undersized, right?
I think
See that here, yeah.
I believe so.
Members of the board, any questions for the applicant? No? None? Okay. Let me open it up to the public. Any member of the public have any questions for the applicant? Great. Any member of the public wish to speak on this application? Seeing none. Okay, well, I'm in favor of granting the relief that's been sought. If we are in agreement, I would take a motion.
I'll move to approve.
I'll second.
Okay, Mr. Hochstein?
I'm sorry, if I might, I would suggest as a condition that there, if, now maybe it wasn't needed, a runoff plan? But if it is, that it be approved? It wasn't?
No.
Okay, I apologize.
Yes.
Mr. Wexstein?
Yes.
Mr. Furstenbaum?
Yes.
Ms. Naparano? Vice Chair Cunningham?
Yes.
And Chair Cohen?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Okay, thank you so much. You don't know how much this means to us, really. Thank you.
Happy holidays. Okay. The next application that we're gonna call is application 2024-24, Angie Foot and Body LLC, 719 Mountain Avenue, block 3601, lot 14. This is a request for a minor site plan approval condition and a conditional use variance. And
Clara Horelick, appearing on behalf of the applicant, which is Angie Foot and Body LLC. This is application 2024-24. And as was said by the chair, we are seeking minor site plan approval, and in addition to that, a conditional use variance. And it is for the purpose of opening a massage establishment at 719 Mountain Avenue in Springfield, and that property is located in a neighborhood commercial zone. And the property is owned by Viamare LLC, and my client will be leasing the property. So the conditional use variance is requested and required pursuant to Section 35-41.2J under the Land Use Ordinance of the Township of Springfield. And that is specifically where in part it reads, massage establishments shall be permitted as a conditional use in the NC Business Zone District as long as the massage establishment does not share any property boundary with a residential property or a school property. So the reason we're here tonight is because the subject property does in fact share a property boundary with a residential property, and that's thus triggering the conditional use variance relief that we're seeking. In all other regards, with regard to the specific ordinance that this falls under, there is compliance by the applicant. The fact that there is, I want to point out that with regard to this boundary, there is a 6-foot board-on-board fence that separates this parking lot, which is the 719 Mountain Avenue Shopping Center, which has Dunkin' Donuts, it has the new Cuban restaurant, it has a nail place, Tops, dry cleaning, and the karate place. So there's a 6-foot board-on-board fence. There are no gates that can get you in and out of that parking lot or to the residential neighborhood, which is the end of Lilac Drive. There is no walking path. There is no way to get through. So it is completely separated from the residential neighborhood. In addition, where she's going to be leasing used to be the Holistic Wellness Center. So we are really taking a similar use and bringing in her use, which actually she will testify that it's going to be a less intensive use than they had. But we do comply with parking. So we do not see, and there will be testimony from a planner, that this in any way will be a detriment to the neighborhood that it abuts. And we believe that it does in fact fall within the purpose of planning and zoning. Appearing tonight will be the applicant. Her name is Shun Kai Lee. She is the owner of Angie Foot and Body LLC, and Thomas Ritchie of Stonefield Engineering and Design, who's my licensed professional planner. Mike Disco did do a review letter. We believe that, you know, we are in compliance with all the points that he has made. I know that Mr. Mistrada is filling in tonight because Mike is ill, and of course the planner will address anything that was brought up in Mike's letter. So at this point, I would like to call upon my client, which is Ms. Lee.
Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes.
Can you please state your full name, spell your last name, and give us your business address?
CHUNHUA, last name LI.
I'm sorry,
Microphone close enough.
louder?
Is it on? Yep.
Yes.
All right, just bring it a little closer.
Yeah, the name is CH.
Maybe it could come in?
Yeah.
Okay.
CHUNHUA, last name LI.
You can put your hand up. And your business address is 719 Mountain Avenue?
Yes.
Okay, good. Okay, Ms. Lee, I'm going to ask you a series of questions, and I would like you to just answer it for the board, okay? All right, first of all, are you licensed and certified by the New Jersey Office of the Attorney General's Office, Division of Consumer Affairs, Board of Massage and Bodywork Therapy, as a massage and bodywork therapist?
Yes.
And for how long have you been so licensed?
20 years.
And in those 20 years, where and how have you worked?
I started working on other people's. Last 5 years, I have had on my massage business on the M Street Westfield.
And did you own that business?
Yes,
And why are you leaving Westfield?
because my lease term is up.
Okay. And where you're going now in Springfield, 719 Mountain Avenue, do you believe that lease space will meet your needs?
Yes,
Okay. And what are going to be your hours of operation over there?
the 7 days a week, 10 to 9.
You said 7 days a week, 10 to 9.
Yes.
Okay. And how many clients do you anticipate having in a day?
Sure, maybe 5.
Okay. And what hour massages do you give? In other words, how long are the massages?
Like 30 minutes, 60 minutes, and 90 minutes.
And are you going to have any employees?
No, let me.
Okay. So you're doing everything yourself?
Yes,
Okay. And are you going to be making any renovations to the exterior of the property?
yes, I do.
Exterior?
Yes.
You mean your sign?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, okay. And is your sign going to go where the current
Yes.
signage is now?
Yes, made on my business sign, put on the buildings.
And that will be in compliance with the town requirements of the ordinance?
Yes.
Okay. And what about the interior? Are you going to be making any renovations?
Yes.
And what will they be?
Already have 2 massage rooms and employee office rooms. I like to add the shower and the laundry rooms. Also have a reception areas with a desk and the 3 foot massage chairs.
So currently, the space has 3 rooms,
Yes.
2 of which you're going to use for massage rooms, 1 for an office employee room.
Yes.
And then there's an open area, and of that open area, part of it will be your reception.
Yes.
And part of it's going to be a new shower room and a laundry room. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, correct.
Okay. And with regard to your location and the adjacent residential property, do you see any reason why any of your customers would be going or finding a way to get to the residential neighborhood?
No.
Okay. I don't have anything further. I would like to, unless you have something for her. I'll call it.
I have a question. I'm confused. You said you're going to be the only person working there,
Yeah.
but you have how many spaces?
2 massage rooms.
They already exist.
Okay. You anticipate having more employees as your business grows?
No.
She's been by herself in Westfield for
Yes.
5 years.
5 years. I work in 5 years, only me.
Okay.
But 3-foot chairs, but you'd only be able to perform 1 massage at a time.
Oh, yes, that because was before my old place, they have already a shop, they have a big place. You know, I have the 3 massage chairs available, so I have no space to put. I just want to put on the side for the foot massage chairs.
I think what she's indicating is that in Westfield, she had all her equipment, and she brought it over to here, but she's one person, so she's only going to be doing 1 customer at a time. Is that correct?
Yes,
So one room is going to be vacant.
That's the space.
I mean, it's not like you, there's like a dentist who has 2 patients they may be working on at the same time. if anesthesia is given for the dentist, they go to another patient. I mean, you're just staying with the one
Yeah,
individual.
yeah.
See, there's already 3 rooms at the facility.
Yeah.
And where she would put the shower, based on the water line and the like, that's why she's not just taking over one of those rooms for the shower or the laundry. So it makes sense for her to be doing it. You have a floor plan, actually, site plan, that we provided that shows the best way to set up the space for her.
I was just wanted to clarify that there's multiple spaces to work, but you're only going to use one at a time in one space.
And you're gonna be working 70 hours or so a week, every week?
No, she's going to be there, but she's only expecting, as she said, approximately 5 clients. She could do just so much, I think. You can answer. I mean, I guess she could do just so many massages in a day. She's one person.
And is it by appointment, or would you have walk-ins?
File permits.
Oh, it's by appointment only? So no, you would not take any walk-ins?
I can't, because I have to make a schedule, customer hour by hours working, that's why. When I working, customer, cannot wait for that, that's why. File permits better.
How long were you in Westfield?
5 years.
And may I assume that there have been no complaints or issues of any sort in Westfield?
Okay, any other questions for the witness? None. Any members of the public have any questions for the witness? I'm sorry, Mike, do you have any questions? Thank you. Any members of the public have any questions? Excellent, thank you very much.
Next, I'd like to call the planner, T. Thomas Rich, from Stonefield Engineering. Bruce.
Do you swear or affirm to tell the truth?
Yes, I do.
Please state your full name, spell your last name, give us your business address.
Sure. Name is Thomas Ricci. Last name is spelled R-I-C-C-I. Business address, 92 Park Ave, Rutherford, New Jersey.
Thank you.
Are you, doing his credentials? Are you doing it, or are you?
Sure, would you like to give the board the benefit of your background and your education, and your license is current and in good standing?
Sure. Bachelor's and master's degree in city planning from Rutgers University, licensed professional planner, nationally certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners, testified in front of this board on numerous occasions. All my licenses are active.
I think you just testified before.
Like last month.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. Any objections? None. It's qualified. Thank you.
Mr. Ricci, as you know, Section 3541.2J is the reason why we're here, because of the conditional use variance that we're requesting due to the fact that we abut a residential property. And that ordinance specifically speaks to the fact that if that is the case, then we need justification. So if you would please put on to the record and for the board, the planning justifications for why this application should be approved, together with the minor site plan approval.
Yep, absolutely. And in doing so, I just want to enter an exhibit that I can speak to help orient the board. This is a one-sheet aerial exhibit that was prepared by our office, Stonefield Engineering Design. It's dated December 13th, 2024. It's a Google Earth aerial picture.
You're going to call that Exhibit 1 or A?
Yeah, let's mark that as applicant one, A1.
So really, this is just to orient the board. It's an existing plaza. You guys might know it. It's the Duncan Plaza. That's the outermost facing tenant on Mountain Ave. There's 3 tenant spaces in this northern building in the plaza. These 2 buildings, they share a 44-space parking lot. The applicant wants to move into the middle tenant space, approximately 796 square feet. It's relatively small small space in that lot. But yeah, we're here for the D3 conditional use variance because the NC zone permits massage establishments, but interestingly, it does not permit them, or one of the conditions is that it can't abut a residential land use. But most of the NC zone lots actually do back up to neighborhoods. So I'm sure as the board is aware, the planning proofs, the guiding case law in this application is what we know as the Coventry standard for D3 conditional use variances. And that's, can the site continue to accommodate the use despite not meeting that single condition of backing up to the residential properties? And I think in this case, the answer is yes. The big, I think a big justification for that is that this is already an existing commercial plaza. It's essentially a change of use application with some minor interior renovations. It's going from commercial to commercial. It has, it's compliant with parking even in the new use when you globally calculate all of the retail space and the existing parking lot. It's not a use that would require any building additions, anything more on site that any of the other permitted uses on the property would need. I mean, medical office is permitted here, retail, other personal service establishments. I mean, in my eyes, we fall right in line with many of the other permitted uses that are allowed on this property, which is why I don't think that it would have an issue accommodating this use on the property despite being too close to the residential. I think it's important to note, we did go out there, there is a 6-foot board-on-board privacy fence that exists there, and then you can see the edges of the property line is kind of wrapped in this existing vegetation. So that residential property, I think, is buffered from the entirety of the commercial, the existing commercial property as it stands now. That's all proposed to remain. Nothing's going to change. And once again, I just don't see any substantial impacts to the surrounding neighborhood, given the fact that the proposed use is going into an existing plaza, and it's so in line with what else is permitted in this zone. That sums up the planning, but I think the Mike Disco's letter, really the two main comments, but were about signage and parking. Signage is proposed to just reface that existing sign. There is a sign above this middle tenant. It complies with the ordinance. She's just going to put the name of the establishment there. And then I think in Mike Disco's letter was to talk about the parking. I agree with him. It's 1 space per 200 square feet. This would equate to 4 spaces required for this use, but we also calculated it for the entire plaza, and 42 spaces would be required for everybody, and there's 44 there. So we actually have a surplus of 2. I think, as you've heard from the applicant, the big benefit is that it's a very controlled use. There's not a lot of, you don't know who's coming and going. You know, basically, you can only handle 1 client at a time. So it's a very low parking generator. And I think there's, Mr. Disco did studies, parking counts over a 2-day span. I think it was December 11th and 12th. And at the highest point, he found 16 spaces were occupied out of the total 44, which is about a roughly 1/3 utilization rate, which is pretty low from a parking standpoint. So I think those are the 2 things to address. And that concludes the planning testimony, but happy for any questions.
So just to sum it up, from your planner's perspective, this would not be a detriment to the public good, correct?
That's correct.
This would not be a detriment to the abutting residential neighborhood, correct?
That's correct.
This would be in compliance with regard to the zone plan and the zone ordinance.
Correct.
I don't have anything further.
Thank you. Members of the board, questions for the planner?
So I'm sitting in for Mike. I just want to touch upon his letter very quickly. But I have his letter, I've reviewed his letter. The applicant has agreed to address all of his comments. Mike agrees there's more than sufficient parking. He has 2 separate parking counts that he's reviewed for this site, so there's sufficient parking. His letter on the first page also notes that the tenant space was previously occupied by Springfield Holistic Wellness. That's why the room is already set up. on the little floor plan that you got, there's a little sketch. So the prior use was a similar use. It had, from what I understand, 2 massage rooms already in the layout, and they're already there today, if that's correct.
I know
It says existing massage rooms.
they did offer that service. I can't,
Yeah, it says massage room existing, the room is existing, but they did offer massage therapy. But that floor plan, to just be clear, we were showing existing room, and then what it's gonna be used for.
Okay.
Massage room, employee room.
So my point being, the previous tenant of this space offered similar uses. So,
That's the question I have for you. Do you know, was that an exception when it was there?
I don't know.
No,
I
it's
don't-
disadvantage.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't know if that previous use, and I should have looked it up, but I don't know if the Springfield Holistic Wellness, which used to be in that same space, had a board approval, whether it was from planning board. It did? It did not.
But I think the ordinance came to be in, 2020? And I think they were there prior to that. They're not my client, so I don't know, but
Understand,
I think they were there prior.
Besides that point, Mike goes on to mention in his review letter the conditions, which the planner's already touched upon. They satisfy all of the conditions except for the rear property line being adjacent to or contiguous with a residential property line. His report goes on to say the applicant does not include any exterior or site changes. No change in lot coverage is proposed. A stormwater management review is not necessary. There's literally no changes. The only exterior change is changing the sign, which would be in compliance. The rest of the comments are parking related. There's more than sufficient parking. And the last 2 comments were Springfield ordinances 4-30. There's yearly renewal fees and licenses that has to be provided. So if they agree to the conditions of the report, it's also part of our ordinance also. No further comments.
The applicant's in agreement.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any members of the public have any questions for Mr. Ricci? None. Thank you very much.
thank you.
Do you want to add anything further?
I think everything's been said.
Excellent. All right, I'm going to open up to the public. Any members of the public here wish to speak on this application? Going once, twice, none. Okay. Members of the board? So the only concern that I would have is with 2 rooms and 3 chairs, if it were not to be by appointment only and you were to hire more employees, then you would exceed the parking, I guess, proportion, right, that you have to the entirety of the lot. So I would like to condition it to remain by appointment only so that we can limit the amount of activity, because I think then you'd get into a parking issue.
May I say something?
Yes.
She's allowed 4 parking spaces. So, I mean, in reality, and she's not planning to do this, but rather than restrict it to appointment only, like, or whatever you were just saying, I would think that she can only have 4 people. I mean, that's it. Or 3 because she's a parking spot. But I think if you do it the other way, I think that down the line, if someone knocked on her door and she wasn't doing anything, and she had nobody there, and she was willing to take the person in, you're restricting her business.
Okay. We have to figure out a restriction, though, that would be put in place where she would not be able to hire 4 other individuals and have 3 chairs and 2 rooms occupied at one time, because then we get into a parking issue. So there has to
Well, I mean, the restriction is that she can't have any employees or customers that would exceed the use of 4 parking spaces, because I actually go to the nail salon across the way, and they all come in one car, all these nail whatever there are, all these nail professionals. And so, I mean, that's one parking space. It's 4 people getting out of a car, but it's one parking space. So I think the fair way to do it is that she can't do anything that would require more than the use of 4 parking spaces.
But under that thinking, if you have a van show up and there's 9 people in the van, how does that work?
But you're only using 1 parking space. I mean, she's looking at it from a parking perspective. The parking is based on 1 spot for 200 feet. We require 4.
Right.
You're worried about the parking there. And frankly, my daughter goes to that Dunkin' Donuts all the time. You know how many people are walking in that Dunkin' Donuts at one time? They're far exceeding their parking. But I think the restriction should be on the number of parking spaces used.
I'm okay with that.
That will not stop them having 37 people in, I'm being facetious, in the facility. Like, started to say, they can pull up with 1 van of 9 people to work in. So I'm not sure what you were trying to accomplish.
I was trying to accomplish that there wouldn't be a parking
Okay.
issue because their space only is limited to 4 spots. So if she expands her business, they would be
But is it only
likely.
4 spots? Because there's 44 spots there. There's not 11
This pa-
businesses.
This particular use, we're only talking this one particular use.
It's
that
set
one
forth in the
space.
ordinance.
Yeah.
In other words, the parking requirement is actually set forth in the ordinance. So it is saying that it's 1 for every 200 feet.
So by nearly 800 square feet.
Yeah, that's 4.
Yeah.
Or 4. It's 3 and change, but 4.
I can assure you that, I mean, without going into it in detail, I'll bet you anything that Dunkin' Donuts exceeds the number of parking spaces they're probably allowed to have at a given.
Oh, yeah, I think anytime the lot is at capacity, they're all
Yeah,
mostly
going to Dunkin'
Dunkin'.
Donuts.
And probably the karate place too, but,
That's another one.
yeah.
But the reason I asked is, she's going to be the only person working there, but, you know, if business is good, maybe we should say you can have 2 people, 3 people working there simultaneously. That would restrict the parking.
But I mean, that's not by ordinance. Now you're putting a restriction on her
Right,
business.
right.
I mean, she can have, as long as she complies with the ordinance and with the parking, I mean, if she wants to hire 3 more people and it doesn't impact parking and it doesn't impact anything else, I don't understand why that would be a fair
Well,
restriction.
yes, but the condition that she needs to meet is the abutting residential. So if she expands her business, there could be a potential for it to, I think the point is because of where it's located, right? That you don't want it to intensify. So I do agree to some extent, but also, I mean, that's what we are talking about. So I do think we have the ability to restrict.
But I do think that the planner pointed out, and as I did in the opening, there is a fence. There's no way through, and there's 1 house. There's only 1 house that's even anywhere near abutting this. That's it.
If I might.
Yes, first, please.
The application, as presented, is for 1 person giving massages. I would suggest that if that is granted, your client is limited to only giving massages herself unless she comes back for a further variance to intensify the use. So even without a restriction, I would suggest to you that the law is that the application stands as it is. So if your client has any thought of expanding the business, I would suggest that you modify the application to put that before this board, and then they can make a determination whether they think a second person in the business would be allowed or not. I do believe that the chairman's thought that this is a use variance, and therefore the intensity of the use is an issue, and therefore you're bound by the intensity that you've put before this board.
All right, we have a response to that. And in my notice, it did say that it could be modified, et cetera. She doesn't have plans right now to expand, but she's never been in Springfield before. So we think a compromise would be if there were a restriction of 2, her and 1 other employee, which means there could only be at most 2 customers getting a massage simultaneously. That would be the 4 parking spaces, that would be a fair way to amend it. So restricted to the owner, the applicant, and the future potential of 1 employee. But that is not in the cards right now, but just to keep her from having to come back before the board for the possibility in the somewhat near future.
I'm okay with that.
I think that's reasonable.
Yes. Right, 2 rooms.
All right, so, just so the record is clear, the applicant has requested that the proposal be for up to 2 employees. The owner, well, she's an employee also, the LLC's owner and 1 other employee, and a limit of 4 parking spaces.
Well, that's an automatic, the 4, yeah.
Also, I want to just verify the hours again, more.
She had said 10 a.m. to 9 p.m.
Any other comments? Okay, so, I believe that with the conditions that we've now stated on the record, and limiting the hours from 10 a.m. to 9 p.m. as stated in the testimony, that you have met the proofs that are required. I do think that the buffer, mitigates any issues with respect to the residential neighboring property, so I'd be in favor of granting, with those conditions.
I'll move to approve.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mr. Hochstein?
Yes.
Vice Chair Cunningham?
Yes.
Mr. Weckstein?
Yes.
Mr. Furchenbaum?
Yes.
Ms. Naparano? And Chair Cohen.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The last thing is that she's going to move as quickly as possible, so I know you're not going to have a memorialized resolution for another month, so she will go to get her permits to do whatever renovation and proceed at her own risk in that regard.
As we discussed,
Yes.
she's entitled to do that at her own risk,
I understand.
which is not, I mean,
I
the
understand.
resolution will come up.
I got it. And when is your next meeting in January for the memorialized resolution?
21st?
Yeah, that's the 3rd Tuesday.
Do we have
Thank
to
you.
adopt the dates? Thank you.
Thank
Happy
you to the
holidays.
board. Yes, to the board as well.
January.
Okay. But we know the January date?
Oh, yeah, I have the date.
Sorry. Right.
I do have the dates. I thought I sent them out, but maybe I didn't.
I think you circulated them.
Okay.
But I forget, but I'm the 3rd
3rd Tuesday.
Tuesday of,
And it's going to be the 3rd Tuesday for the entire year with the exception of November.
Right.
Because it's that weird time. We'll just figure it out when we
perfect.
there.
Okay.
So.
Motion to adjourn? Second, all in favor? Aye, wonderful. Happy holidays, everybody.